Exercise. Exercise boosts brain power. If the cameras weren't rolling and the media abuzz with live reports, it is possible nobody would have believed the following story. A man had been handcuffed, shackled, and thrown into California's Long Beach harbor, where he was quickly fastened to a floating cable. This cable had been attached at the other end to 70 boats, bobbing up and down in the harbor, each carrying a single person. Battling strong winds and currents, the man then swam, towing all 70 boats and their passengers behind him, traveling 1.5 miles to Queensway Bridge. The man, Jack LaLanne, was celebrating his birthday. He had just turned 70 years old. Jack LaLanne, born in 1914, has been called the godfather of the American fitness movement. He starred in one of the longest-running exercise programs produced for commercial television. A prolific inventor, LaLanne designed the first leg extension machines, the first cable-fastened pulleys, and the first weight selectors, all now standard issue in the modern gym. He is even credited with inventing an exercise that supposedly bears his name, the jumping jack. LaLanne is now in his mid-90s, and even these feats are probably not the most interesting aspect of this famed bodybuilder's story. If you ever have the chance to hear him in an interview, your biggest impression will not be the strength of his muscles, but the strength of his mind. LaLanne is mentally alert, almost beyond reason. His sense of humor is both lightning fast and improvisatory. "I tell people I can't afford to die, it will wreck my image," he once exclaimed to Larry King. He regularly rails at the camera. "Why am I so strong? Do you know how many calories are in butter and cheese and ice cream? Would you get your dog up in the morning for a cup of coffee and a donut?" He claims he hasn't had dessert since 1929. He is hyper-energized, opinionated, possessed with the intellectual vigor of an athlete in his 20s. So it's hard not to ask, is there a relationship between exercise and mental alertness? The answer, it turns out, is yes. Survival of the fittest. Though a great deal of our evolutionary history remains shrouded in controversy, the one fact that every paleoanthropologist on the planet accepts can be summarized in 2 words. We moved. A lot. When our bountiful rainforests began to shrink, collapsing the local food supply, we were forced to wander around in an increasingly dry landscape, looking for more trees we could scamper up to dine. As the climate got more arid, these wet botanical vending machines disappeared altogether. Instead of moving up and down complex arboreal environments in 3 dimensions, which required a lot of dexterity, we began walking back and forth across arid savannas in 2 dimensions, which required a lot of stamina. About 10 to 20 kilometers a day with men, says famed anthropologist Richard Wrangham, and about half that for women. That's the amount of ground scientists estimate we covered on a daily basis back then, up to 12 miles a day. That means our fancy brains developed not while we were lounging around, but while we were working out. The first real marathon runner of our species was a vicious predator known as Homo erectus. As soon as the Homo erectus family evolved, about 2 million years ago, they started moving out of town. Our direct ancestors, H. sapiens, rapidly did the same thing, starting in Africa 100,000 years ago and reaching Argentina by 12,000 years ago. Some researchers suggest that we were extending our ranges by an unheard of 25 miles per year. This is an impressive feat, considering the nature of the world our ancestors inhabited. They were constantly crossing rivers and deserts, jungles and mountain ranges, all without the aid of maps, mostly without tools. They eventually made ocean-going boats without the benefit of wheels or metallurgy, and then traveling up and down the Pacific with only the crudest navigational skills. Our ancestors constantly were encountering new food sources, new predators, new physical dangers. Along the road, they routinely suffered injuries, experienced strange illnesses, and delivered and nurtured children, all without the benefit of textbooks or medicine. Given our relative wimpiness in the animal kingdom, we don't even have enough body hair to survive a mildly chilly night. What these data tell us is that we grew up in top physical shape, or we didn't grow up at all. And they also tell us the human brain became the most powerful in the world under conditions where motion was a constant presence. If our unique cognitive skills were forged in the furnace of physical activity, is it possible that physical activity still influences our cognitive skills? Are the cognitive abilities of someone in good physical condition different from those of someone in poor physical condition? And what if someone in poor physical condition were whipped into shape? Those are scientifically testable questions. The answers are directly related to why Jack LaLanne can still crack jokes about eating dessert in his 90s.